Okay guys, let's get into episode 2 of this Ask the Stylist series, and today we're talking about wardrobe organisation. Lots and lots of questions about how I organise my wardrobe and basically in turn how I advise my clients to organise their wardrobe. So let's just dive straight into it. Question number 1, attached to my back of my wardrobe as usual. How do you organise your wardrobe? So I thought I would start in front of my blazer selection. So basically what I do is I organise my wardrobe in categories. I don't organise my wardrobe in colours. I know some people like to do that, and I know some stylists will suggest that. But for me personally, I prefer to organise my wardrobe in categories so that everything that is in the same category is basically next to each other. So like I discussed in the last episode, it's all about making things really accessible, but also knowing exactly where things are in your wardrobe rather than going to your wardrobe and, doing this for forever and ever, looking for that short sleeve black top that's hiding in there amongst all the million of other black tops that you might have. So that's why I like to organise in categories, because it really does, it shows you it's much easier to know where you're going to go to in your wardrobe depending on the occasion, depending on the weather, depending on the day. You know that if you're wanting to, in this case, choose a blazer, well, here they all are here, and I know I've got quite a collection. But equally what it allows you to do is also identify what you have a lot of and what you don't have much of or any of at all. And I'll show you some examples. So behind me in this particular wardrobe, I've got all my blazers, and then I've got my jackets and co-ords, so basically pants and tops that go together. And I do, for the co-ords, actually hang, so for example, I do hang the trousers underneath the jacket. But I know that I can coordinate them obviously separately, but just hanging them together, it doesn't actually take up too much space. As you can see, because this is a heavier suit, I've got my wooden hanger, keeping it nice and secure. So basically, this is a pretty easy wardrobe to navigate, because it's pretty much all my blazers. And then at the end here, I've just got some of my dressier trousers hanging on their bulldog clips. And perhaps while I'm answering that question, so I know I ended up talking about hangers and what I use and what I suggest in yesterday's IGTV, but this one, while I'm here, so some of my trousers I hang on bulldog clips. I guess just one, so this is a velvet pair of trousers that I think if I had them folded over a coat hanger, you'd get that line there. But because it's velvet, I do have these little protectors. It's just like a little piece of foam that I have folded over the trouser and under the clip, so you don't get those marks on there. And I use that there was a specific question about how I care or how I hang my leather, and I do the same with my the leather pants that I've got hanging. So that's just a little tip. As I said, it really is just a little piece of foam. You can even use a little bit of fabric, just something that means that the bulldog clip doesn't leave that indentation. So that's that wardrobe, which is pretty obviously straightforward. And I talked to you yesterday about even with my shoes. So I know everything up there is boots, and everything down below is more my pumps and kitten heels and flats and that sort of thing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch you around and really show you my wardrobe that's probably most categorized. Okay, so I've spun you around this way so that you can see my wardrobe, which is basically opposite my other wardrobe, that has my jeans, dresses, shirts, and blouses. Now let me show you how I organize those different types of clothing within their own category. So do I have all my dresses just hanging randomly? No, I don't. what I do is I have them in categories. So the first group of dresses, that probably can't see, but it doesn't really matter, I call my sort of flowy, florally dresses, so my deconstructed dresses. So as an example, you know, maybe this, you know, this sort of thing. So this floral little zimmy old number, I have hanging all together. So that on any given day, if that's what I feel like wearing, if that's what I'm in the mood to wear, they're all there. Now, you might have one floral dress, or you might have 70, but have them all together. And this happens to be just my style. So I have sort of two styles of dresses. I've either got this long floaty, you know, style, which, you know, so this sort of thing, okay, patterned. And then next to that, I have my shirt dresses or variations of shirt dresses. So basically things that have a collar, things that are a little bit more tailored on the upper body, and things that are actual shirt dresses. So for example, my chocolate brown skin and threads is hanging there. So next to my florally, floaty feminine blouses, I then have my slightly more structured blouses. And I don't know about you, but you know, sometimes depending on my client, depending on what shoe choice I'm going to wear, if I know that I'm spending a long day on my feet, then I'll often start off with my shoes, whether it's a sneaker or a flat shoe or something comfortable, and then that can sometimes dictate what I actually feel like wearing. So if I know that I feel like wearing a shirt dress, something that's got a little bit more structure, then again, they're all there. Then next to those dresses, I then have my summery, sleeveless, short sleeve dresses all together. And I think particularly when you're in Melbourne, when the weather can literally change from one day to the next, 1 hour to the next, I think it's fair to say that most of us would get up every morning and be dictated as to what we're going to wear by the day's forecast. So when you know that it's going to be a hot day, so today is actually quite humid in Melbourne, it's 30 degrees, I'm probably not going to choose a dress with a long sleeve. I want something sleeveless or short sleeve, or if it's a really hot day, I definitely know that I want that. So then I've got all of this style of dress, so a lot more summery. So for me, it has to be pretty hot to wear something this with this much skin exposed, especially for work. But I basically then have all of these dresses hanging together. And I don't have heaps of that style because I prefer to be a little bit covered. Okay, so basically what I'm saying is I have all my dresses in the one section, regardless of whether they are, you know, work dresses or casual dresses or beachy dresses or summer dresses. I still have them categorized within my wardrobe, which makes it easier. I know where they are. Then in this particular wardrobe, this is where I get into my shirts. So you know I love a cotton collared shirt. So basically, that's where they start. All of these shirts up until there, okay, all are collared shirts. Now I also said I would show you some of my favourite Topshop items that I've had for many years, because I shared that Topshop has, well, it became defunct in the UK, but thankfully ASOS has taken it on, so it's now available at ASOS, which actually is great because it's free returns, free deliveries, and really easy to buy online. And this is one of my favourite Topshop shirts. It's a beautiful blue pinstripe with an exaggerated cuff, 100% cotton. I love it. So I've got a lot of Topshop shoes. Their shoes are really good, and a size 42. So I have all my cotton shirts, or some are silk shirts. So for example, that's cotton, that's a silk version, but they're all collared shirts and I have them all together. Now, one thing I'll also point out with all my shirts is that, again, just to maximize my space because it's not big, I do button all the top collars up, and I do that for a reason. A, it means that the collar sits nice and flat when it's in the wardrobe, so it's not going to come out all, you know, bunching or out of place. But it also means, again, for that, I'll just bring a few out together, it means that they all sit nice and flat. So I button up just that top button, okay? So as you can see, I do like a shirt. So I have all my shirts together. So on any given day when I know that I feel like wearing a collared shirt, whether it's silk, whether it's linen, whether it's cotton, they're all there. And then I move into blouses, so silky blouses. So for example, so basically my collared shirts stop there, and then I'll have things like this, like my beautiful Megan Park patterned silk blouse. So they're for days when I'm obviously going to style myself differently, when I'm going to wear something not as structured, something softer, something more feminine, maybe with a denim or tucked into a skirt or whatever. But again, I know that that's where they all are. They're all in that section. And one thing I do with those particular blouses is that, yes, they're all starting from there, but they do eventually go into, I start from long sleeve to short sleeve to sort of dressy. And then I get to the very end where I've got sleeveless. Now, I mentioned earlier that when you have your wardrobe organised in sections, in categories, you can not only identify what you have a lot of, and as I showed you before, I've got a lot of jackets and I've got a lot of blazers. So, you know, that category is certainly well taken care of. What I don't have a lot of in this wardrobe are sleeveless blouses and sleeveless tops. I've got singlets and things there in a drawer, but in terms of, you know, like this sort of thing, I've got probably 3. In fact, I do have 3. This one, the Suzanne one, the gorgeous Colo one that I've featured, and then I've just got a lovely black sort of sheer sleeveless top. So that's all I've got. So if I look at my wardrobe and I think, what's missing? What don't I have a lot of? Well, it's dressy, silky, floaty, sleeveless tops. I've got plenty of long sleeves and a few sort of short sleeves, but I don't have a lot of sleeveless. So that's what organising your wardrobe in terms of categories, and particularly when you're hanging things and have things on display, it just shows you what you're missing, maybe, potentially missing. Also, what you might have a little bit too much of. And as you can see up here, this is where I display my denim. My blue and my white denim. Black denim's just there. So I just find that that's really easy, very accessible. I can obviously see, and yes, I can tell which denim is which. They're all slightly different, but I just find it's just a really easy, again, grab and go. Fold them up, pop them in. Now, obviously, I'm tall and I'm lucky that I can reach this shelf. This one's a bit higher, but I've just got stuff up there that I don't really use. So that's how I like to organise jeans. If you've got a shelf that is handy, doesn't have to, can be high, low, wherever, I think stacking your jeans, a bit like you buy them in a store, just means that, again, they're visible. And jeans on a hanger, hanging up in your wardrobe, unless you've got a really big wardrobe, okay, if you've got a really big wardrobe, I would be hanging up just about everything, apart from the knits that I talked about last time, and, you know, maybe t-shirts and things like that. But jeans, because of the weight of a jean, you know, it's a heavy cotton, once they're folded over a hanger, you know, if you've got as many as I've got, and you've got them all stacked in a wardrobe, they actually take up a lot of space. So I think this is a much better way to display them for ease of grabbing and going, but also visibility is really good. Okay. So that's how I organise my wardrobe. I mean, I can quickly show you, actually maybe I will. We'll do a little spin. Just one more. Sorry about that. We'll go back a bit. So here's my black grey denim. And then in that wardrobe, I've just got there's all my active wear. I've got all my trackies down there. And then I've just got my shorts, tailored shorts hanging. and then I've got my a few leather pants, and even within this wardrobe, I've got casual pants on this side, and then they become more dressy tailored on that side. So again, just to stop you from doing this and working, oh, where's that pant? I know that if I'm just for casual, whatever I'm doing, I know that they're all there. And yes, as I also said yesterday, I do have a few, well, actually I probably have most, where, for example, I've got the two on the same hanger. But, you know, no more than two. Remember, ladies, no more than two. Okay, let's go back so I can move back a little bit from you. All right, I'm going to check the questions and I'll be back. Before I answer the next question on seasonal wardrobe storage and organisation, I should also just say I've got another little section like this just there where I have all my skirts hanging. So again, I have my skirts all together, ranging from sort of casual summery skirts through to more formal, maybe more tailored skirts, but they're all together. So the next question, which was also quite a popular one, was about seasonally changing up your wardrobe. So do you switch out items for spring, summer, for autumn, winter? And again, it probably depends where you live, but I think in Melbourne, we definitely need our clothing accessible pretty much all the time because you never know what the weather's going to be. So no, I don't. Again, though, if you have limited space, then it's definitely something you might want to consider. And the things that I would switch out are things like the pieces that are very seasonal. So you know that right now, very rarely in January, February, March, maybe December, you know, even in Melbourne, you're not going to need your heavy knitwear. So they might be something that I would switch out and put that in that tub under the bed and bring out as the weather starts to cool. And I think that's what in terms of wardrobe organisation and wardrobe storage and sorting, it really can just depend on the weather. You know, sometimes we can have really mild winters or cool summers. So just be the judge of what works best for you. So knitwear, I think, is one of those things, a bit like I mentioned with my heavy knit scarves in winter. I'm not going to need those for months and months, so they're in a tub under the bed, and so too are a few of my knits, but I did show you that I've got knits just in there which really don't get used much, although I have started getting them out just to throw them over my shoulders because remember, I liked that, as that's my new look. And then I guess the other thing that I would switch the knits out for in the hotter weather, so I've got my t-shirts in a drawer, just all stacked like I showed you on stories. And then in another drawer, I've got my singlets. So basically my racer tank singlets and tank tops and whatever. So obviously come winter, I don't necessarily need those. So they're really the only two items that I would actually switch out in terms of having them visible and accessible in my wardrobe at any one time. I hope that makes sense. What do I hang and what do I put in drawers? So I guess, you know, I like to hang things that are my everyday workwear. So as you can see, I've got my jackets, I've got my dresses, but in terms of, you know, active wear, obviously trackies and sweat tops, obviously the jeans, they're the things that I have folded in a drawer. But as much as you can, as much as your wardrobe space can handle, definitely try and hang as much of your wardrobe as possible. Because when things are in drawers or stuffed at the back of a cupboard, you do forget what you've got. Out of sight, out of mind. It's very easy to forget. And I know that can also ring true for when you've got stuff hiding under a bed or in a cupboard under a bed or in another room. You can forget what you've got, absolutely. And on that note, I think that one of the questions was, how do you remember what you have? Well, this is how. I remember what I've got by having an organised wardrobe and by having as much of my clothing on display for easy access. That's how I would answer that question. So again, depending on the size of your wardrobe presentation and outlay, you know, as much as you can, have those favorite pieces, the pieces that are your go-tos, have those visible and hanging, and the pieces that you love to wear. You don't want to forget about those, do you? So make sure you've got the pieces that you love to wear that make you feel good. Make sure they are front and center in your wardrobe so you don't forget them. What else was there? Well, I've talked about hangers in yesterday, so if you didn't catch yesterday's, I have covered off hangers. I think that might be it actually. Hang on, let me just have one more check. You don't need to see me. So last two questions I'll answer. One was about shelves. How do I use shelves? And I've probably already covered that in terms of I like to use shelves for things like jeans. If I had a bigger wardrobe, I'd probably have my t-shirts, my logo t-shirts, probably stacked on a shelf. And the question specifically was best use for shelves other than deep holes to stuff the floor drobe, the floor drobe, the wardrobe on the floor, in when guests visit. So that is the dilemma with shelves, is that you can tend to just hide stuff in the back and then again you forget what you've got. So use your shelves wisely and have things on display. And obviously I also use shelves for things like my shoes, and as you saw yesterday, for my handbags. And then maybe the last question I will answer is, which is a good one, how do you avoid clutter, having too many clothes? Well, it is a bit of a trap of the profession, being a personal stylist and personal shopper. I'm seeing clothes all the time. I'm obviously also working with brands and getting clothes for collaborations. So, and I love clothes. I love styling and I love putting together outfits. So absolutely, there does come a time when I can look in my wardrobe and feel a little bit overwhelmed because I feel like I've got just way too much bloody stuff in there and things are just starting to look a bit squeezed. And you might be looking at my wardrobe thinking, Jesus Christ, Sally, you've got a lot of clothes. And I do, but I wear them all and I love them all. And I've got a lot of old clothes, and that will be the next topic. I'm going to answer your questions about my favourites and anyway, bits and bobs that you've asked me. But in terms of avoiding that clutter, I might reference you all back to an IGTV I did, I think it was like back in March or April in the first lockdown, where it was basically me showing you or teaching you how to edit your wardrobe. So maybe I'll refer you back to that one to check that out, because it really is about assessing your wardrobe and assessing what you're not wearing, what you don't feel good in, versus the pieces that you love and that you wear all the time. So I made a few probably rash purchases during lockdown, and I think that was because boredom. Obviously it gave me content to create for you guys. But there's a few things, but I will answer this in the next IGTV, that I bought in lockdown that are now in my questionable cupboard in the spare room as to whether I keep them or whether I don't. They're pieces that I haven't worn out of the house. Obviously I use them to style and to create content, but I haven't gravitated towards them and wanted to wear them out in real life now that we're back out and about. So yeah, making sure you don't have clutter is really being honest with yourself and trying to be objective about your wardrobe and what pieces you love to wear and what's just not working for you. Obviously, there are things along the lines of when something's looking a bit tatty. So a really good example of that would be a white shirt, a white t-shirt. I mean, I've got a couple in here. This one in particular that... Oh, see, this is terrible now. I'm going, where? Oh, it's right in front of me. All right, I haven't got that much in here. Okay, so here's a gorgeous Strateus Carlucci white shirt that I've worn heaps. It's got that gorgeous oversized cuff and it's a beautiful cotton. But the collar on the inside's just starting to get a little bit rank. It's starting to get a little bit yellow. So over time, if that starts to be obviously obvious and visible while I'm wearing it, then it's probably time to go. Particularly if I've tried to, I don't know, nappy sand it or take it to the dry cleaners and it just won't go. So those sort of things you need to be mindful of as well. When something has lost its shape, it doesn't fit you anymore. Maybe, you know, it's something that you wore throughout your pregnancy and you think, oh, I can still wear this, but really it's lost its shape. And stuff that obviously has holes, moth holes, all that sort of thing, that's when it's time to go. But really, the best advice I can give is, in terms of not having that much clutter, is really just working with the pieces in your wardrobe you love to wear. Okay, that's episode number 2 done and dusted. The next one will be me answering your questions about my wardrobe. There's some really great questions about, you know, designer versus high street, some of my favourite purchases, and anyway, all that sort of stuff. It'll be fun. All right, we'll see you then.